Yay Media Group.
Just if you had two little boys the same age as those boys when they started getting abused and you look at your children, I have a different perspective of things. And again, not defending murderers, sorry.
Hey guys, episode 78. Prayers to everyone in Florida. Right now we are recording, what's today? Wednesday. My days are all mixed up. We are recording on Wednesday, so I just keep watching my phone. I am like attached to my phone and the news. I've been trying to stay away from the news, but since this hurricane, I'm like just following people who live in Florida and seeing like what's going on. It's so sad.
Hopefully, as of right now, it hasn't hit land yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's not as bad as their prediction.
That's what I'm hoping.
So a lot of times it does, once it gets closer to shore, stay out. I'm not saying that's the case here, but there's still hope that it's not as bad as people are predicting.
Last I saw, it was 160 mile an hour winds. That was the last time I saw.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Who knows what's going to happen.
And it just makes me so sad for older people who live in, those little like nursing homes and they can't get out.
Yeah.
Like that's so scary. But prayers to I definitely wanted to make sure I said that. Prayers to everybody in Florida. Today we have a sick boy home with us. He had fever yesterday. It's like that time of the year. It's starting again. People are starting to get sick and I'm like,
he's all right though. He probably could have went to school. So
he had 102 fever yesterday when I picked him up.
Yeah,
and then last night, I always sleep with my boys when they have fever. And they always find me anyways and sleep with me. But Leighton, I slept with him last night just because I kept like waking up and checking him because the night before he was on fire and he was fine yesterday, but I just wanted him to stay home and rest. And I don't want him, it's respect too for the parents and the kids.
Oh yeah.
I don't want him, if he does have something, getting the whole class sick and then the whole class goes down. But it was cute. He's the line leader at school and that is why he wanted to go to school, because he wanted to be the line leader. That means he leads them to lunch each week. A kid gets to be the line leader and he didn't want to miss art. He loves art. We have him in football because I just want him to be in something, but football really isn't Leighton's thing. I think the arts are more Leighton's style.
Which is cool. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about it. Him and Lawson are just so opposite. I think he's trying to do it because we wanted him to do it, but he doesn't really care. But I just want him to see what it's like playing on a team and working together as a team.
Yeah, and I like
having to get up in the morning, go be on a schedule, be like the coach told you to do this. It's more so for things like that.
Yeah, but I like the fact that he likes, I want to be line leader. Or he's like, remember in football, he's like, I want you to be proud of me too for football. So like, cute. I just want those thoughts in his head. He doesn't have to do football, but I like that he has those thoughts in his head of like, I want to be good at this. So, I'm proud of myself. It gives him some self-pride is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So no matter what he does, whether it's art class or whatever, he has like a sense of pride. Like, I want to do good at this. And I don't know if he had that before. So I think any kind of organized anything structures that, and I think that's good for a kid.
Oh, he definitely calls me out. Like if I'm talking to the other parents and he's at practice and he gets a flag, he'll come over and be like, you didn't see that. You weren't watching. I'm like, yes, I am. He's like, no, you weren't. I saw, because he'll look to see if I'm watching. It's really cute. But okay, we haven't done this in a while, talking about shows that we're watching and that we like.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I've been waiting for weeks for Jeff, but you were just busy doing a DIY project and doing other things or football is on at our house. I know I've said this before. It's on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sunday. Yeah, did I say Sunday already? It's on all the time.
You couldn't just say
no, I had to
go in order.
Because Jeff needs to sit and watch the game for a minute, but we finally watched The Perfect Couple. It's so good. And I know we're behind. A lot of you have probably been on that train already, But the first episode had me hooked.
The first 2 we watched.
Yeah.
I thought it was a movie this whole time. I didn't know it was a series.
Yeah, no, it's a series. That's why I wanted to watch it, because it's something we could watch at night.
Oh, we're going to gobble that up like quickly.
I know already. I'm like, wait, maybe we should watch it.
I know. I was tired yesterday and I was like, you want to do one more?
Yeah, because it's not.
I love shows like that because one, the scenery is good, right? Like that's important. Kind of like White Lotus, their scenery is really great. I don't think people consciously absorb that, but like subconsciously, I think it just changes your whole dynamic while you're watching. And then the suspense part of everything.
You don't know. Everybody's a suspect. That's what I love. It's not predictable.
I think
I said everybody.
But it's so subtle in this. What's it called? The perfect
couple.
The perfect couple. It's so subtle. Some of the indications they give that you're like, wait a second. Did that person just say that? That means they were involved too. And so every single person's a suspect, but the storyline's good. The acting good. Nicole Kidman. What's the guy's name? The father.
That I don't know his real name.
Yeah, I do. The guy from Ray Donovan.
Yeah, he's hot.
Yeah, what's his name?
I think it's Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber. That's right. And he does thank you, Ian. He does the voice overs for Hard Knocks. I don't know if people know that. If you watch Hard Knocks. Yeah, it's his voice that's the voiceover for those. A lot of people don't know.
What else was he in? Because I never paid attention to him, but it could be just this show, the way they have him look. He just looks even
Ray
hotter.
Donovan was his big, his coming out party, I think.
That's what blew him up.
You didn't watch Ray Donovan? Mm-mm. Oh, that show was really
I do
good.
remember you watching that, though. My dad was obsessed with Ray Donovan. And then I want to say he was on Scream.
He might have been, yeah.
But I might be thinking it's Jerry O'Connell. I think Jerry O'Connell he was on Scream.
Maybe Liev Schreiber wasn't in that. I don't know, but he's a great actor. He's in there. We only watched the first 2 episodes, and again, we're late to the game on that. But if you haven't started that and you need something to watch, definitely tune into that. So I'm excited to see who. And then
we watched. Okay, there's the Monsters Menendez Brothers that we talked about a couple episodes back. We finally finished that. And then Monday, there was a new one. It's Lyle and Eric calling from prison. And it's like the first ever interview, I think they said, in 30 years that they've done. And it's a documentary. I think it was 2 hours. We watched that. I'm so
that came out on Monday of this week. So it's different than the Monster series. Like Jordan said, it's a documentary where they have them, Eric and Lyle, you don't see them. They do show pictures of them older, right? But they have, 200 hours of, voice recordings of them from jail. They incorporated that into the documentary. And then they have a lot of players that were involved. Maybe that's not the right word, but like cousins, aunts, sisters, people on the jury, and they get their point of view as well.
I feel like the second trial that they had, they didn't get I don't think it was a fair trial because they couldn't use their cousins. They could not use family members, people that knew about what was going on, the family secrets.
Yeah, I kind of shifted my point of view on the Menendez brothers, and then the whole setting around it, because it's so like encapsulated by the OJ trial as well, because they had the first trial. And again, I'm sure a lot of you already are caught up on this. If you don't care, I don't know. I have 2 little boys that were about the same age as Eric and Lyle, which doesn't make what they did right. I'm not trying to defend murderers here, but I think sexually abusing, if the allegations are true, what the father did to those boys, and the torment and torture, and I don't even know how the mental capacity to move forward in life, doing those things. Gruesome things. I don't want to go into detail. Watch a documentary. Horrible things to your boys.
That's why
that's almost murder in itself. And I know technically by the law it's not, but doing those things for over a decade to your little innocent boys I look at my kids and they're their age and thinking about that a father could do that to their son, and that the mother knew allegedly that was going on and didn't step in because she wanted her same lifestyle. allegedly, I'm going to keep saying allegedly because nobody really knows the story. But if all those facts are true about what the boys were saying and some of the testimony from the cousins corroborate that, listen, that's worse than you got what you deserved, in my opinion. And I am very biased because if someone touched my boys like that, I would do the exact same thing what those boys did to that person who touched my boys, because just looking at them the other night when they're just like sleeping in their cute little underwear and so innocent and not able to defend themselves in any sort of way. And then dealing with that the rest of their lives in their head, like the survivors of sexual abuse. It's just the most disgusting thing ever. And I think in my mind, I know it's not the law and I shouldn't probably be saying that, but you know, I would do the same thing. I would blow somebody's head off and happily go to jail, but I would want to try to get my manslaughter or a temporary insanity charge because I don't trust the court system. If someone of money did that to my boys, or I don't know why it's so hush hush, or maybe it's the shame people feel. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but maybe I would take matters in my own hands. This is I'm going to a different level, but it's because I have two boys that age and someone doing something like that, horrific and disgusting, it churns my blood. I had to get up a couple of times and like, I couldn't even watch it. I'm like, some of the details they gave. And
I know that's why it took us so long to finish The Monsters. I felt like, cause I was like, all right, I don't want to hear any more of this because then it just put me in a bad mood. Yeah. And I know those are just actors, but the actors did a great job because you were really feeling how they felt.
Let's take a quick break. I want to hear your side of the story too, because I could go all day with this. Sorry, it took up some time, but let's take a break and we'll come back to you.
Welcome back.
All right. So I just wanted to point out one more thing because we were talking in the break a little bit. You know, I'm not defending murderers that killed their parents, because if you just say that in the story, there's no defense for that. But then if you incorporate all the other details, there is a defense. And I get that they were spoiled brats, which I totally believe that they were, and they got everything that they ever wanted, but at what cost? And then spending all that money afterwards, if you listen to the documentary, again, this is their words. They could be playing for the cameras or trying to get out of jail. But they're like, the reason we spent all that money was to cover up our guilt. Like they were empty and broken inside, and they were spending all that money to try to feel something, you know, just like what do you call that when you have like, there's survivor's remorse, but also that Stockholm kind of syndrome. Like one of the younger brother, I think it was Eric, said in the documentary that I wouldn't change what happened because the only love I got from my father is when they were having oral sex or anal sex. And I want to bring in those graphic details because that's what happened. And there was, I can't bring in, but you know where I'm going with it. But, you know, it does paint a different side. And I'll end with this. And again, I want to hear your point of view. But I think if that trial took place back then, without the OJ trial, because the OJ trial, they had their initial trial, there was a hung jury, and I think they probably would have got another hung jury. But the OJ trial came, and the city of Los Angeles screwed that up so bad that then on the heels of that, the Menendez retrial was, and the city wanted to make sure that they got it right and that they put those boys to death, essentially, but they got life in prison. So it was the city that's why they didn't allow the abuse evidence, and they wouldn't bring that in the second trial. That's why they got a guilty trial. I do
think the second trial, if they could have brought the abuse in, I think it would have either been a hung jury or they would have walked.
I think in today's day and age, which is so crazy because that was 30 years ago only, if you look at how much things change in time, if you did that today and you incorporated all those details, they definitely deserve to be punished. I'm not saying they should go free, but I think they would have got a manslaughter charge, which means they would be out of prison because they already been in there 30 years and the manslaughter charge wouldn't have covered that. I know we covered this on the last episode, but if you had two little boys the same age as those boys when they started getting abused and you look at your children, I have a different perspective of things. And again, not defending murderers, sorry.
No, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think I told Jeff, I was like, I know their father. I mean, if you're killing somebody with a shotgun, you're pretty mad. because a shotgun does a lot of damage to a human body.
And it was premeditated and all that.
And I told Jeff when we were talking about it, I said, you think maybe if they were that mad, maybe not kill their mom and just would have done it to their dad. But they said their mom was so miserable anyways and always was saying she was going to kill herself and was always drinking and taking pills. And I mean, again, no one should kill their parents. They should have went about it a different way. But from watching it and them explaining detail what happened, I was getting mad and I was like, I would have done the same thing.
And they interviewed the sister, Kitty, the wife who was murdered. They interviewed
their aunt. They interviewed the aunt. It was the mom's sister. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah, the sister of Kitty.
Yes. In case people didn't watch Menendez, they don't know who Kitty is.
Kitty, I said the mom who got murdered. Her sister, they interview in the documentary. And she's like, there's a point where she's like, I don't understand if you knew that as a mother, how do you not confront somebody or tell somebody?
I think she was just so miserable that she just didn't care. And she just was always sticking up for her husband, even though he cheated on her for 8 years.
I know. This is like, just like everything else in the world, like very divisive subject. And you're either on one side or the other. But again, I'm on this side because I have 2 little boys, like I said, that are that age.
But then I feel like in Hollywood, it's all pedophilia, all of that. And I used to always say when you worked on Daily Blast Live, I'm like, why aren't y'all talking about sex trafficking? Why don't y'all talk about that stuff?
Why isn't it more prevalent? It happens all the time.
I know.
It's so common. And people are like, oh, that's kind of like an aunt and uncle thing, or in some roundabout way, like it's somewhat normalized. And it has been going on since like the Greeks and Romans. You know what I mean?
Think about,
but that's the most horrific. That's more horrific to me than blowing someone's head off. And maybe I have a mental problem as well. But I'd rather take a shotgun to the head than endure 10 years of abuse the way they did from my father, from the people that are supposed to love me the most. I'd rather just be dead.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that shouldn't be parents, too.
I know. Sorry, I got a little passionate.
There's stuff, I mean, with Diddy coming out. I mean, I hope that guy gets taken down. And Diddy, hearing more about what's going on with him, he was kind of like a little Epstein. He was recording people without them knowing.
You know what? That whole Diddy thing, you're right.
And he's disgusting. I hope he loses everything. I
don't know how much of that. There's so many allegations out there right now that I don't even know what's true anymore. There's
a little boy as young as 9 years old.
Well, how about Bieber? He's involved in that allegedly too.
I don't know. Just all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets me fired up.
It makes me so mad. And that someone like Diddy, when you're rich, it just shows like when you're rich, people just on that level of rich and fame, it's like you're untouchable. Like he should have been taken down a long time ago. I'm sure rappers and actors knew this stuff, these private parties were going on for a long time, but nobody said anything. That just makes me, like A-list stars annoy me. I don't trust them. I wouldn't trust my kid if my kid was like, I want to go in acting. I would not trust them at all. I don't understand these parents, like with the whole Michael Jackson. We watched that documentary. These parents don't even know Michael Jackson, but you let your boy spend the night at Michael Jackson's house. What? Who cares that he's the king of pop? I could care less about that. That is your child. Your child doesn't go spend the night with them. You don't know them. That's weird.
Takes them on trips to another
But it's
country.
almost like these parents want their kids so bad to be famous. And there was a documentary we didn't watch. It was about the kids of Nickelodeon talking about things that happened to them. And it's just like, you protect your children. Hey, your kid's going to go here. I'm going to go with you. I don't care. My kid's not old enough to punch you in the face. If something bad was going on. But okay, we're going to take a break.
All right. Yeah, let's get off this subject. We'll be back. All right. Welcome back.
We didn't mean to go that deep.
We didn't mean to get dark, but that was fresh on our minds because we just watched that documentary. But if you want to watch something not so aggressive,
Watch The Perfect Couple.
The Perfect Couple. It's really good. But anyways, we're going to get into some questions now. We told you guys on last week's episode to email us at togethermesspod@gmail.com. And we weren't expecting so many people to write in already, but you did. So we're going to take this third segment and kind of do some...
Dear Abbies.
Dear Abbies with you, which we established. Yeah, and see if we could give you some Jeff and Jordan advice. We're not saying it's good advice.
Right.
But it's our advice. So you want me to kick it off?
Sure.
All right, here's our first one. It's from Jennifer. She says, "Hi, I have a 3-year-old boy. He hates having his hair cut and getting his toenails clipped. It's a major battle. What do you guys do? Any advice? Thanks. Love the podcast." Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Jackie.
No,
that's the next one. That's from Jennifer.
Okay, Jennifer. Lawson was the exact same thing. I used to get anxiety going into the nail salon. I mean, Lawson always had super long hair, and that is part of the reason why he always had long hair.
Not the nail salon.
The hair salon.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason why his hair was long, because I would get anxiety and worked up when I would have to take him to the hair salon to get a haircut. He would scream, he would cry, he would kick. You could tell the stylist was very annoyed, and it was normally Lawson would have to sit on my lap, and I would have hair all over me and itch. I mean, it was just a nightmare with him. I would always give him my phone to try to help, and I would sit there. Around that time, he loved Mickey Mouse. What was it? Not Mickey Mouse Club, but Mickey Mouse. And I would turn that on with my phone. And normally the stylist, I would make sure she was cutting the back of his hair, and I would bring his favorite snack with him. And then if she was cutting the front of the hair, obviously would hold the snack away so he couldn't get it. He loved, what were those? Push Pops. He loved Push Pops, which I normally wouldn't let him have. But when we would get haircuts, I would get a Push Pop, and he could watch my phone, and he could suck on that Push Pop while he got his hair done. And that helped.
Push Pops are great for haircuts because all the hair gets...
I said when she's in the back of the hair cutting, and then I would tell her, tell me when you're doing the front. And when she would come around to the front, I would hold the Push Pop away so hair didn't get on it.
It was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, because I remember that, because it was goofy and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing that I can remember doing, but I feel you. And I had, like I said, I would just get worked up right before we would go, because, we wouldn't have a stylist because I knew nobody wanted to deal with us.
They're better now.
Yeah, but Lawson still to this day only gets his haircut once a year. And he doesn't like it. He doesn't like getting his haircut.
Yeah.
I know, but he doesn't like getting his haircut. And he just was one of those people. Lawson was very difficult. And then with the fingernails, toenails, I made you do that.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, so.
You just get, you know what, especially with little ones, you got to obviously get the tiny little baby clippers, which helps because they're so small. I did nick them one time. I do remember that because I felt horrible. Remember when I got his finger that one time and it started bleeding? Yeah. I did get him one time. It happens. But, you got to cut it. I'd rather have that than like have their long nails and have them scratching their face, especially when they're real. This is like real little, like babies.
But with Jeff, Lawson was a lot calmer. Maybe because he wasn't dealing with me, because he was with me all the time. And I feel like when you're younger, the kids lash out more at the mom because they're always with the mom and they want attention from the mom. At that time, Jeff was never home, so he was always working. So it kind of worked. So maybe have your husband or boyfriend, I don't know if you're married or not, or someone else besides you try.
Yeah.
Because that's why I did that. Because I used to cry. I would go to the pediatrician and cry about these things. And he was like, the kids lash out more because they love you and they're with you all the time and they act different. Remember when I used to leave the house and you're like, they've been perfectly fine. And as soon as I would walk in the door, they would just act up. And I'm like, were they like this the whole time I was gone?
I think that's a lot of parents though. Like when
No, I think it's normal. That's what I'm saying. Have somebody else try to do the toenails instead of you.
Yeah. Definitely. It's the same, like even if they're hurt or something, like our neighbor, like when that thing was stuck in Leighton's ear.
Oh, Leighton put a bead in his ear. I couldn't get it out. And then he goes to my neighbor who's a nurse. no problem. She got it right out because it was somebody different.
Right. They know how far, they're little and you think they have no minds, but they know who they could push further and what they could get out of them.
Okay. I hope that helped.
Yeah, I hope that helps. So bribe your kids with candy and give them an iPad.
And yeah.
It works.
Okay. So this one is from Jackie. Hi. You are such a real and loving couple. How do you come to a middle ground on things you both feel very strongly about? I feel like my fiance and I have opposite views sometimes, and I never know how much to budge on how I feel or how he feels. Thank you and love getting to listen to you both twice a week.
Thanks, Jackie. It's work. We don't always find a middle ground for sure. I think you guys, we express sometimes when we fight on here, so we keep it real, but afterwards we don't let it linger. We try to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we try to nip it in the bud. We both know something's going on. Like when there's something going on,
you can feel the tension.
Yeah. I'll go and get my space, and so will Jordan. But then eventually we're like, all right, what's the problem here? Let's fix this. So then we address it head on. I think that helps a lot in those situations.
Head on. But we definitely don't agree all the time on everything. Or if it's something I'm passionate about and Jeff is just, I feel like ignoring me or kind of just blowing it off. I'm like, why don't you care? And then I start getting mad, and then you get mad at me for coming at you. And then I just kind of walk away. I think it's just not taking it to the extreme where you're fighting. Like, make know your boundaries with that person.
You know what a good rule is, Jackie? Pick your battles, because there's going to be a lot of them, and some of them just aren't worth fighting. Like especially the middle ground ones. You're like, fine, I'll just do that. If it avoids a fight, I'll do that.
No, but I think that's too,
my philosophy.
If it's something you're passionate about, talking to you and just saying, listen, let's talk about this, but let's not fight about it. And then if you do start getting mad, okay, we'll stop talking about it. But I think it's important for both people to express how they feel, and both people to express their feelings and get it out. Because sometimes I get mad if I feel like I don't get to express how I'm feeling because you're mad because of what I'm talking about. And I'm definitely going to say it.
Well, let's not get in a fight over this.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I think finding middle ground is important, not only in your personal relationships, but in life in general. We're so at opposite ends of everything, even we talked about earlier in the podcast, and politics and everything else is just separating us. There is no more middle ground. It's either you're with me or you're against me. So in your personal relationship, if you do have those points of view outside your relationship, I think at least within your relationship, you need to find that middle ground to move forward. Because if you guys are in two opposite ends, like politics, on the far ends and not budging, that's never going to work. You need to find a middle ground. And that's it, not only in your relationship, but with the country, I would say. It's never going to work because the people that are on polar opposites politically, they're never going to get along. And at least the people in the middle could find some common ground and give and take some things.
Yes. I just say face it head on and just think about each other's feelings as you're doing it.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Stephanie. First, want to say how much I love y'all. Thank you, Stephanie. This question is for Jordan, but also would love Jeff's side. Jordan, were you scared to learn you were pregnant before getting married? Did you feel any judgment? How did you tell your families? Oh, okay, so this is perfect.
This is someone from the South.
I come from my mom's family on her side is very traditional Southern Baptist people. And when I found out that I was pregnant, not being married, I, first of all, was super scared to tell my mom's side, not my dad's side so much. I knew my dad would support me, but my mom's side, because they are so religious, I was very scared. So my grandpa, I think, was the last person I told. And I told my mom, I called her first, and I was bawling, crying when I found out I was pregnant with Lawson, because I felt like Jeff and, we were planning our wedding. So my mind wasn't thinking about kids. My mind was on wedding and being newlyweds and enjoying life as a married couple first before kids came. But everything happens for a reason. I truly feel, I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but everything does happen for a reason, even though if it's the timing isn't right. Like at that time, it was like, wow, I just started working at this hair salon. Jeff was working at CBS.com, kind of freelance stuff. He had nothing stable. And then I found out I got pregnant, and we're in this tiny little apartment. And I'm like, this is not how I envisioned my life. Like now I feel like a loser. That's how I felt. I was like, he doesn't have a stable job. I'm working at the salon, just getting started on my career. Now I don't have a room for my kid. I felt ashamed because I was like, where is this kid going to sleep? But then when you have your kid and you just make it work, you realize, okay, it didn't matter that you had your room and your nursery all complete, like what Instagram shows you and everybody in their perfect life. Your kid basically sleeps with you or is in a tiny little crib beside you. So you didn't need that room. The first, 6 months of their life. Jeff painted half of it. Jeff kept trying to make things better for me, but I was just angry about everything. I was mad that we had to cancel the wedding. I was mad that I was pregnant. I felt ashamed. I felt like a loser. I did tell my grandparents eventually. They were super supportive. It wasn't like what I thought they would be. And my mom told her cousin, she's like, Jordan's feels ashamed because she's pregnant without getting married. And everybody was just all congratulations, very happy for us. But I did feel that feeling. And then now, Lawson's about to turn 8, and it's like, you know what? That's how it was supposed to be planned. That's how it was supposed to go. I feel like everything that we have done is non-traditional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything, like in life. Yes. Now with what we're going through, now that we're older, our kids are getting older, I would love stability and not like the type of work he's in where it's just not guaranteed. It never is in that type of business. But I knew what I was getting when I decided to marry him. I knew what he wanted to do, and that's on me, like I knew what I was getting when I was marrying you. But the whole thing with Lawson, and I can't picture it any other way. And now I've met so many awesome friends, mom friends that have kids, my kids' age. And I'm like, if we would have waited, I would have never been friends with these people.
Yeah.
It's just how life goes, and you can't plan it. Nothing can be planned. And nothing, the timing never feels right.
No. Yeah.
It always feels like, oh, well, you know what? We're not where we want to be. So we need to wait to have kids. Oh, well, it's always something. And I feel like if we would have stayed in LA and I never would have got pregnant, none of our friends had kids. I feel like we would have never had kids because we would have always pushed it back. Mm-hmm. And we would have always said, it's not timing yet. We're not where money wise, we're not where we want to be. And I feel like we would have never pulled the trigger. Yeah. I know I wouldn't have.
Well, it's rare when life goes to plan. I'm learning, maybe your life out there does, but I just think life has too many twists and turns, and you got to be able to adapt and roll with the punches. And like you said, I don't know what would have been the right time because I didn't have a super stable job.
Right.
So that would have, on paper, been like, well, let's wait a little bit.
Right.
And then when you get to a certain point, you're like, well, let's have kids now. But then a lot of people now are having problems having kids. So then that plan doesn't work out. Like life just throws curveballs in every single direction.
And you just have to adjust.
Yeah.
You have to adapt. You have to have a supportive partner. You both have to communicate with each other because you can't, even though I was very upset at that time and I was going through postpartum, I just wasn't myself. He still tried to lift me up because it wasn't the best situation what we were in, but you still tried to stay positive even though I wasn't.
Those were some of the best days of my life. I love those days.
Like
those little, the struggles in the little apartment, and I painted half of our bedroom into a nursery. And I don't know, I finally got my foot in the door in the business, and we had some great friends, and it was just, I don't know. It was just a great time in my life that, again, looking back, it wasn't because Jordan was going through a lot. We were going through a lot. Didn't have a lot of money, obviously, had a tiny place. But I don't know. I just felt good. So I need to remember, even when things get tough, you could still find joy.
And I think with kids, it just makes you stronger. It makes you tougher. And you're like, you know what? I'm someone's parent now. Stop worrying about yourself, and you have to be selfless and think about your children and what is best for them. So when Lawson came, all this other stuff that you see on Instagram that you're influenced by, you see your kid, and I'm like, okay, what's best for my kid? What's best for my family?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up there because we went a little long. But yeah, I think the moral of the story is appreciate what you have and not what you don't have.
Exactly. And one other thing I do want to add, being a Christian, I feel like God had a plan, and it was just meant to be for us to get pregnant early, not get married, move to Denver, you getting your job here, and then meeting the people that we have.
That's right. Praise God.
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the questions. Again, we're going to try to do this, every once in a while. So if you guys have questions, togetherness@gmail.com. You could write us in.
Thank you for your questions.
Jordan on Instagram, she's always writing people back on there. I didn't mean to put that on you. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, don't write Jeff because he doesn't respond. Yay Media Group.